We talked about infidelity and divorce and the challenges faced by the injured spouse. So it only seemed appropriate and fair to address the challenges after divorce for those who've been unfaithful. And I want to mention a few of the things that I've heard in my practice over the years from unfaithful spouses as they go through or even after they've divorced. The first thing is that divorce didn't solve the problems. It only delayed the resolution. I hear some form or fashion of that statement frequently. And what happens is that frequently the bitterness about the betrayal fuels the injured spouse's anger for months and sometimes for years after the divorce. Another topic that comes up frequently is around finances. And while this could be the problem for any divorce, it's more complicated for those that have been unfaithful. They may feel an additional burden to help their mate. And if they didn't want the divorce, what can happen is that they may even use finances as a way to manipulate their ex. And this can lead to both parties living beyond their means, turning life after divorce even into a worse financial crisis than it was before. Another big challenge for the unfaithful spouse is the relationship with their children. Far too often, the children are used as pawns in the struggle that goes on after an affair. The injured spouse will threaten to tell the children about the infidelity to get their unfaithful spouse to conform. And if that's the case, then divorce usually ends up with the children knowing what happened and frequently knowing way too much about what happened. And another challenge that I hear probably more than any other thing is that nothing prepared me for the intense loneliness that I feel. Many said that finding fulfillment after infidelity and divorce was far more difficult than anticipated. Only 19% of unhappy spouses who discovered or separated were happily married 5 years later, while 64% of unhappy spouses who avoided divorce and worked on their relationship and did some deep work themselves ended up happily married 5 years later. Divorce is difficult, and at times it's unavoidable. Our hope is that each person is restored. Unfortunately, that doesn't always mean that the marriage is going to survive. It's not fair, but recovery requires work on the part of both the injured and the unfaithful spouse. And when that doesn't happen, divorce frequently does occur. For those who are struggling with this problem, I would highly recommend finding some support, either through a 12-step program or working with a trained therapist, along with some infidelity-specific process or programs for healing.